I have a very nuanced view of the DOL fiduciary duty rule. I think it is a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad rule. For me, that rule was never, ever about investor protection. If you read that rule, it was about one thing, and it was about enabling trial lawyers to increase profits for them. So many people in this room, so many other folks have been trying to comply with that rule. And first of all, for months, I would tell people, it's like, look, when you figure out what the rule says, let me know. And literally for months, nobody could figure it out. And I would go out and say it was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad rule. And people say, well, how can you say that if you don't know what it says? And I said, that by definition is a terrible rule. If you don't know, if you can't figure out what it is 6 months later, it's terrible, right? Because people, I mean, the vast majority of people in the industry want to comply and are spending millions of dollars trying to comply. But yet if you set up a rule where it's a gotcha rule, that's a terrible rule. Second, it was a highly political rule. I mean, the rollout of the rule was done at a think tank. I mean, can you imagine if we did a rule if I did a rule over, say, at the Heritage Foundation or at AEI or something like that, right? It was done at a left-leaning think tank, and it was put out as a highly politicized rule, right? People say, well, the SEC should come in and take the leadership role. Absent a congressional prohibition, and there was a bill out there, Congresswoman Ann Wagner had this rule, said that, but it never actually, this bill, it never actually became law. It said, DOL couldn't act until the SEC acted. Absent that prohibition from the DOL rule, no matter what we did, they would have moved forward with it anyway. So those people say, well, why didn't the SEC move in this space? It didn't matter. They were going to move forward with it anyway. I'm glad that the current administration is taking a new look at the rule and trying to make it at least workable for folks who want to comply and actually make it more about investor protection and less a politicized rule.